the viewers at home, the viewers of Afro Worldview. And also I see my wife is here. I've got a very beautiful wife sitting right there. Okay, indeed. Let's get down to business. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to welcome you all to this briefing. As many of you will recall, in August last year, we hosted a briefing in this very same venue to introduce our acquisition. Since the acquisition, there's been a number of developments behind the scenes. We've repositioned the company to AfroTone Media Holdings, a 100% black-owned media entity with staff complement of about 500 people, mostly young South African women. Afro Worldview is a well-oiled machine boasting the finest in infrastructure, as you can see, including the 3 state-of-the-art studios, advanced camera technology. You see we've got robotic cameras here. Other people, they still have to drive them manually. We have a graphic suite, and we've got a production control room with young, enthusiastic people steering the progress. In terms of our approach, we are Afrocentric in our news coverage approach, guided by the demographics of our country. So we just don't think that it makes sense in a country like ours to be overwhelmingly African. But when you look at the news, Africans are at the periphery. So we want to change that. Our channel editorial policy content is one of telling, getting people to tell their stories in their own way, telling stories in a very honest way, telling stories that are accurate, unbiased, and independent, in a manner that keeps with all the dictates of the BCCSA. Afro Worldview is a battle of ideas platform which seeks to embrace black excellence and tell the stories of the poor and the powerless with the same magnitude and vigor it would the rich and the powerful. Our news approach is fundamentally based on the philosophy of Ubuntu. We are sensitive to advancing humanity in all of us. An example of this commitment is our exclusive coverage of the funeral service of the Maskandi star, this past Saturday. We practice what we preach. Our second and other significant platform, the country's only truly national newspapers. Other newspapers are based in Gauteng, but they call themselves national, and so on. Which our paper is called the Afro Voice, which has experienced significant changes with its new look and revamped content, which entrenches its relevance in the media space. The provincial footprint, including specific editions in various provinces, continue to give Afro Voice the edge in covering issues close to the hearts of the majority of South Africans. In the next few months, we will be joining the Audit Bureau of Circulation, the ABC as it's normally known, to optimize the commercial opportunities created by the publication's reach and footprint. As news platforms, we aim to accommodate all Africans on the continent, allowing people to tell their own stories. We plan to reflect a Pan-African outlook even in our staffing levels. In August last year, we made an undertaking that in the event of any change of our shareholding following our open invitation, we would report back to you. Indeed, today, we're approached by countless would-be investors with serious bags of money to try and be partners with us here. And in keeping with our promise today, we are here to unveil our new shareholders. These new shareholders that are here, they made a very compelling case of what they bring to the party, but I will not steal their thunder. They'll speak for themselves. But from where I sit, there are 3 things I want to highlight about them. Number 1, as you can see, they are young people. Number 2, they are not your usual suspects. I'm sure you have not seen them in any other deal. And 3, they are our local Africans. So to me, this is all 3 fundamental points. Excuse me. In composing the new shareholding structure, we are also very fortunate to be joined by partners who share our commitment and philosophy to fundamental transformation of the media landscape, in particular the economy. Our staff have met with shareholders and were given the opportunity to interact with them and getting to know who they are and what they stand for. As part of the process, we are also finalizing modalities of an employee shareholding scheme. It is therefore our great privilege to introduce our partners today. These are the people who have vowed to take this ship to greater heights. So I'm going to go from my immediate left and work my way down the line. In my immediate left, I've got Unathi Mguye. Unathi has extensive experience in the public and the private sector. She founded Stokey Management Consulting Firm with clients across various industries. She also established Omama Besizwe Investments for 1 million women in South Africa. Next to her, we have a young lad, Sifiso Mthethwa, who is an admitted attorney of the High Court. He previously worked for Prime Media, Investec, PwC, before going into legal practice. He has significant experience in media, broadcasting, and policy development processes. Right on my extreme end is the princess, Zamaswati Dlamini Mandela. She represents the Mandela legacy media. She has extensive background in public relations and media, and she has been a spokesperson for an organization called 21 Icons, which is a project that visually celebrates the lives of those trying to shape the world. She's also the co-editor of a book called 491 Days, a book written by her grandmother, Umamnomzamo Winnie Mandela, which tells the story of the brutality she experienced at the hands of the apartheid state. Swati is a guru in PR and management. The Mandela Legacy Pty Limited is an organization that is a creative zone that engages and authenticates public ideas linked to the family name in order to turn those ideas into credible programs. Their internal programs include humanitarian business development, publishing, public relations, social marketing, management, charity, and so on. Our partnership with Mandela Legacy is particularly significant. This year, the country is celebrating the centenary of the Mandela legacy. Now, we are saying celebrating Mandela centenary would be incomplete without remembering Mam Winnie Mandela. The Mandela Legacy Media is a vehicle that enlists Mam Winnie as an honorary member. It's where her children and grandchildren are beneficiaries. It is the view of AfroTone Media Holdings that Mam Winnie personifies resoluteness and defiance, which is where we think we are as AfroTone Media Holdings. For us, we are saying we are also resolute to be the platform for our people, and we also want to defy all calls and machinations to undermine this noble objective. As you would note from their profiles, our new shareholders form a perfect fit for our company's vision and mission. We are quite confident that the new shareholders have made the right choice as we chart the way forward to entrench AfroTone's position as the country's only wholly owned integrated media company. You can have other media companies, maybe on radio, maybe on newspaper, etc. But in terms of integrating both digital, newspaper, and broadcasting, we are all by ourselves. We've got a uniqueness that is unparalleled. Since the acquisition of the business, we've been hard at work putting into motion a number of parallel projects to reposition the company. Over the past few months, there have been a number of media reports relating to staff morale and instability, justifiably so. Change in any environment would normally be accompanied by lots and lots of uncertainties. Indeed, AfroTone is not immune from that pain. Notwithstanding, we are happy to report that significant progress has indeed been made to stabilize the environment and instill a new level of confidence at all levels of the business as evidenced by the quality of our new recruits. For us in this house here, we have been very lucky that indeed talent has just been finding its way here. We are sitting here with a lot of refreshed staffing, as it have got a lot of people that have got serious credibility from the industry that have joined us, continue to join us, and also want to still join us. As it were. We have no problem in terms of attracting talent as AfroTone. While there is still a long road ahead in this regard, we are confident that these challenges will still be overcome. For us as AfroTone Media Holdings, we are emboldened to mention the following in terms of achievements thus far. AfroTone Media Holdings is a triple BEE level 1 rating. This is a very important step in the issue of transformation. We are not just a run-of-the-mill BEE company, we are a seriously transformed company. We are 100% black-owned, not just owned by name and you still owe banks large sums of money. For us, we are black-owned in the true sense of the word. Everybody that sits here have got a share certificate which they can cash if they want to. It's all, our shareholding is all unencumbered, which is a serious achievement in the BEE front. Most of the BEE players, they've got a whole range of stakes here and there, but all their stakes are generally encumbered, which means they've got their shares pledged and what have you. So for us, we've got no shares pledged. What we have in our share certificates is what we own. We sit with a staff complement of nearly 500 employees, young women are ruling the roost here. I mean, if you look at our anchors, we're the only channel with such a number of competent young women anchors. And also, we've just had a very successful branding project, even if we've got to say so by ourselves. Most importantly, this rebranding was more than just a rebranding exercise. It's actually about sending a very clear message to all stakeholders that it is now business unusual. At the heart of this process is a concerted effort on producing quality and balanced journalism that is fearless and not biased. All these efforts have been matched by positive feedback from a broad range of stakeholders, including government, including organized business. We're quite happy, in fact, that even SANEF has been here to make sure that we're part of the fold. And we're excited as a group to join SANEF as a corporate, join SANEF as various individuals in the professions that are qualified to be in that space. In that regard, we are also, in terms of looking after our interest, we've got a serious commitment to make sure that the editorial policy continues to be exemplary, continues to be independent, continues to respect all the dictates that need to be respected to ensure that our editors are free to drive editorial policy as they deem appropriate. In fact, as a matter of fact, we've just emerged from a robust strategy session with the editors of both mediums, where this critical matter was thrashed out in no uncertain terms. In a nutshell, we are quite clear that both our editors, Mrs. Mposi Tole and Mr. Reginaidu, which we'll meet just now, being the champions of press freedom, they are and will not tolerate any form of interference, even if we tried. On the commercial front, we are advanced in the bidding process for the new MultiChoice contract and are quietly confident that we exceed the requirements to be the new partner of choice for MultiChoice. Afro Worldview is a going concern that poses virtually no risks to MultiChoice. Obviously, we can't speak for other bidders. We are also preparing to participate in the ICASA's hearings, which will decide the country's latest free-to-air broadcaster. In conclusion, we take this opportunity to welcome our new shareholders and are extremely confident that together with our employees, we will take a significant, make a significant difference to the lives of millions of our people through provision of quality and balanced journalism. And we have a message to the President of the Republic. We are saying to President Cyril Ramaphosa, AfroTone Media Holdings says, Tuma Mina, to transform the media landscape. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manyi. Well, on such an occasion, it's only fitting that our colleagues in the media space be the ones to engage our panel and not myself. So on that note, I'd like to open our question and answer session. Please, when you ask a question, do identify yourself as well as your media entity. We'll take 5 questions for this first round.
Just before that, Mfundo, I just forgot to mention one important thing. Swati, on my extreme left there, as you know that she's the member of the Mandela family, and as you would know that the family is in mourning. Yes. In fact, even for her to be here today was just a special privilege that she thought she must just come and respect the occasion. So would request that all of us just respect that she's in the mourning period. What that means is that she is not going to be engaging media on any matter whatsoever. Their mourning period as a family, I think, ends around end of July. So up until then, please hold your horses. One of the things that we want to emphasize as Africans is that for us as Africans, when a person is in mourning, we respect that. So we call upon members of the media to please respect the fact that she's mourning.
Okay, well, we can officially begin. Any questions from this side?
It's all clear.
It seems it's satisfactory. Perhaps then we'd like our shareholders, if you'd like to elaborate. They've spoken extensively on your profiles. Perhaps to start with you, Unathi, as to the reasons why you just decided to join AfroTone Media Holdings.
Thank you so much, Mpho. I guess for me, how I've always viewed media, especially in terms of women, is that if you are transforming in a society, the media plays a very important role in terms of whether it speeds up the transformation or it impedes the transformation. So the value that I'm bringing is to make sure that the women are at the center of the narratives and also the structuring of AfroTone Media Holdings.
Mm-hmm. And then, Sviso, for you, the decision to join this family?
Well, I mean, for me, it's an opportunity to change how people view youth. As you've seen, this is Youth Month, but in the last 20 years plus that we've been hearing about Youth Month, we've all just been hearing, we've been fed stuff about youth, but not seeing an actual change. So for me, this is an opportunity for me to bring some youthfulness to a management company that is 100% black-owned. In 2018, to have a media house that is black-owned wholly, that we're the only one that are doing that, it's almost shameful. So for us to be here, and for me, as much as I'm not really youthful as much as Imo, but in terms of the shareholders, I feel I bring that youth that will take us forward.
Mm-hmm. Now, so this company has been through a rebranding exercise.
Yes.
But nevertheless, if you are an investor,
yes,
I mean, one would shy away from joining such an entity because of the negative reports. You know, there's been a lot pertaining to 8 and 7, the new age as well. So as a young investor, to decide out of all the companies that you could invest in, I mean, that becomes quite a consideration. Yes. You overlooked all of that.
Well, I mean, I think I can only really speak from my point of departure. My point of departure is what I can see in front of me. I can't speak about the past. I can speak about the changes that I will affect. And there will always be negativity surrounding any company. And mostly when it's a black-owned entity, we will always have to work harder just to prove that we're actually capable. So that is the kind of discourse that I'm trying to change. So to answer your question, yes, I know about the negativity, but it didn't sway anything.
Mm-hmm. Unathi, many people would still also like to know that as shareholders, what is your shareholding? if we had to break it down? I don't know if the chairman would like to give us that breakdown, because I'm sure even our colleagues in the media space would like to know how much of the shares you own, to what extent are you in charge? Could you give us a breakdown of the shareholding, perhaps maybe to take it to the chairman?
Yeah, no, those are all confidential discussions. But what I can assure you is that the 4 people that you see here own the sum total, as it were, of all the equity in the organization. But the slicing and whatever, it will get us to talk about the various rationale of each shareholder. And as we do that, we will be forced to talk to Swati on the other side to say, what does she bring onto the table, as it were. As we do that, we then transgress into the mourning period. So the safest thing to do is to say, all 4 of us, and by the way, the 3 of them put together, they can outvote me. So if that will give you any comfort, as it was. So they own the majority shareholding. I'm just by the way.
Okay, but remains, we have editorial independence nevertheless.
Yeah, most definitely. In fact, this is why I brought editors here. If you can see here, if Mpo and Ricky firstly can just rise so people can see from the Afro Worldview side, I've got Mpo, and from the Afro Voice side, I've got Ricky there, and with her deputy Kamuhelo on this side. And obviously, and also our anchor here is actually the deputy editor of Afro Voice. And I've also got the editor for special projects, Farah, editor for special projects. And I've got the deputy assignment editor there, Masi Chaba, who makes sure that we get all the reporters to the right assignments, as it were. So these are the people, including our anchor here today, that run the show editorially, as it were. We here are just interested that this business continues to be a profitable entity.
Mm-hmm. Now, before we close, I'll be failing my colleagues in the media space if I didn't ask the one question perhaps some of them would have liked to ask is, how much did it cost? And was it EFT?
Yeah, no, that's another confidential matter. I think this is the nice thing about being in the private business. You know, if you were a government entity, there would have been a parliamentary question which wouldn't be able to avoid. But this is business, this is private business. So what we do in the private business, unless there is some serious authority with a particular authority allowing you to ask that question, then we will answer. But there are many things that people are interested in. But whether what we're interested in is in itself in the public interest is another matter. So I want to argue that those kinds of things people are very curious and interested in, but they must not be confused with being in the public interest.
Okay, we seem to have one question. You can go ahead. And perhaps also to identify yourself in the media house.
The name is Sipo Maluka. I work as a freelance photographer. Coming up with the shareholders that you do have, was there any process that was exercised to have your choice of them, as there are 3 of them?
Okay.
Okay, any other question?
Any other question?
The last one that I may ask is the name AfroTone. Where does the name come from?
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
All right, I've got a few questions. I'm Ndawleng from Fin24. I'd like to know why the new shareholders are necessary. Are you trying to raise money, and will the public be able to buy shares?
Okay. Right. Okay. We are all here ready to answer the questions, but I'll try and give a step, and then if the other shareholders that are here want to add, they are welcome to do that. What was the process? When we stopped here last August, the process was really open for people to register their interest. And since then, I've been speaking to a whole range of people, as I've mentioned already, that I've been speaking to a whole number of people, as it were. And some of the people strategically would not see things the same way and so on. Up until these new shareholders we have here today, came and made a compelling case, and they've somewhat sketched at a high level what was the case for them to be here. And as I said already, that for me, the important thing with the 3 points that I mentioned, I wanted youthfulness to be in this organization, and I've got it. And I also wanted freshness. I think one of the problems in the BE space is that every day is the same old faces. So I thought I have a duty and an obligation to make sure that the shareholders that come on are people that you've never seen before. I'm almost sure you've never seen these faces before, in the BE deals in particular. So that was, for me, the important thing. And also the important thing is for us, if we're going to call ourselves Africans, it must be owned by Africans. So the fact that they are all Africans was, for me, also a very, very important consideration, as it were. So that's why that was the process, really, that we've used. And the word Afro in it is to assert the Afrocentrism which we are trying to engender in this process, is to assert the Pan-African outlook, as it were. We think the time has come for Africans to have a space under the sun. And for us in the media space, this is a step that we're making to say, let the stories of the African people be told by the African people themselves. So this is how we are wired. And why these shareholders? Why do I need these shareholders and so on? Did I need their money? No. Money was not a consideration too much. The big issue here was value proposition. Money you can always get. Money is the easiest of the things. It's difficult but easy. But what you can't easily get is commitment. What you can't easily get is attitude. What you can't easily get is tenacity. What you can't easily get is vision. This is what these people are bringing here. They're bringing freshness, they're bringing vision, they're bringing vigor, they're bringing youthfulness. Money can't buy those things, and so on. So we can go and do all kinds of structured deals and so on, but you will not get what they're bringing to the table. And these are things that they're bringing to the table. Mm-hmm. I can't answer all the questions.
All right. And then perhaps another one, you touched on MultiChoice.
Or public, whether it's available to public. What we want to do as the new shareholders is to first grow the value of the asset, and then we'll get to looking at that. I mean, if, for instance, just as an example, if we were to sell the stakes at NN7 kind of cloud and what have you, I'm sure there would have been value A. I'm almost sure that since day one, after we were rebranded, the value has already jumped up, you know. Already now we're picking up a lot of traction, even with advertising. We're picking up traction with viewership. We're picking up traction in the quality of people that work here. All of that is increasing the brand equity. So at the right point, we'll be able to value this business much more favorably to be able to yield a better return for the investors. So for now, we are still trying to make sure that we have a solid value proposition that we can sell to another shareholder.
Mm-hmm. And then, Mr. Manyi, on the commercial front, you touched a bit on the bidding process, which is now at an advanced stage.
Yeah.
AfroWorldView has also put in its proposal there. What happens, which has been the question that many have probably asked you on social media as well, what happens should you not be awarded that contract? What happens to your staff complement of 500 that are here? You continue to hire, you've rebranded, we've had other colleagues joining us from other entities. Everybody now is perhaps relying on this MultiChoice contract, or do you have a plan B?
Well, look, I think, firstly, I think MultiChoice must be commended for doing what they've done. If it wasn't for the MultiChoice decision, we wouldn't be talking a truly owned integrated black media house as we speak. So I think MultiChoice must be commended for this. That's the first point. But MultiChoice was also very clear of what are the things that they were looking for. One of the things that MultiChoice was looking for is that the company must be black owned. In fact, they said 51%. We are 100%. So we're shooting the lights out in terms of that one requirement. Secondly, MultiChoice was not ambivalent about the fact that the company must be locally run. And right now, here are the people that run this organization. They all have addresses here in South Africa. These are the locals. The black people are right here. So you've got locals running this organization. Thirdly, surely MultiChoice wants to make sure that they increase their own value proposition in terms of the diversity of content. We argue that we're the only house that has got a particular unique offering, the only house that is unapologetic about the African approach, as it were. So if you were to look at the various channels of a MultiChoice, the offering that we have here is really unparalleled. We're the only ones that see it important to cover Maskandi when others don't think it's newsworthy. That is the different way in which we view things. When you open other channels, they talk about somebody dies, somebody dead. In this channel, we don't have people that die because our Afrocentric approach says people pass on. As they don't die, only animals die in our approach. So these different perspectives are only what can be found here. We're the only channel, by the way, that even on pronunciation, we're very, very meticulous about pronunciation. When everybody calls the word Mandela and so on, we're the only one that calls it properly. And the proper pronunciation is Mandela. That is the proper pronunciation of the word, of the name, of the surname, as it were. So we are here as a place where if you want the best pronunciation of the African surnames, names, and so on, this is the place to come.
And then some would want to take us to the crux of the matter to say, it does happen. They could say, oh, that is superficial. Yes, as important as it is to pronounce people's names, they want to get to the crux of the matter, which is editorial. That if we are Afro worldview, you say we're Afrocentric. At the same time, there's also concern that will we not see a switch where perhaps now you have spoken of Tumamina, we are ready. Are people not going to see perhaps some sort of sympathy towards the African National Congress, or this remains an entity that will broadcast each and every event of all political parties, AfriForum as well as a civil organization, and any other? Or is there some sort of a bias?
Yeah, look, I think, in fact, I'm glad you asked this question, because let any political party that ever wanted to be here and was bad, let it raise its hand. There is not one. This is the only house where all political parties that have something to say are given an opportunity to say it. There may very well be political parties that have got no agenda and so on, that we can't help. But if you're a political party with a clear PR strategy and so on, and you want to use us as a platform, we don't say no to you, including EFF, by the way. EFF at the leadership level, they still are still studying the situation, let's put it that way. But on the ground, we do cover even EFF projects or activities and so on. They do good work here and there. We cover them. I mean, Ernest Rhodes from AfriForum, Solidarity, these people, they are here every day. I mean, Auta is also here, DA is also here. You name them, they are here. So what we have decided to do, the editors have said, and we agree with them, they have said that the shift now is going to shift from being pro-anybody. We're not pro-anybody, we're just pro the truth. We're just pro-objectivity. Our partner is the truth. Our partner is honesty. So whether there's corruption in private or public sector, we shall report on corruption, wherever it comes from, as it was. So for us, we want to say we're the channel, we're the publication that must be associated with objectivity and truth in an independent and unbiased manner.
Mm-hmm. And then on the race subjects, I mean, South Africa is racially polarized right now. And Afro Worldview, some have talked about it being, as you say, a black station, that then some feel as you assert your blackness, you're excluding some. What exactly is it? Because one could say, I don't see my white counterparts here that work here. Is it a coincidence, or it's just a reflection of the demographics, that we do have white colleagues, but perhaps black people would be in the majority? I know it's a loaded question.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's just like a soccer team. You know, a soccer team would have 11 players, and people would complain when they see one white player. And in fact, that one white player is a proper representation of white people in soccer. Because white people in the country constitute something like 10%. So if you have 11 players and one is white, you are doing very well. So even here, our approach here is going to be focused also on the demographics of the country as it is. We know that Africans in the country are an overwhelming majority. Therefore, the coverage, everything is going to reflect that. And I think it's also important, Mfundo, for viewers out there to not to be binary in their thinking. When we say we are pro-African, that is not a statement against Europeans. That is not a statement against any other. It's just a statement that says we want to assert African people. We want to use indigenous knowledge systems to be able to bring to the fore that which was otherwise submerged. So we're not about being anti-anybody. White people are welcome here. In fact, even white anchors, we have white anchors here. They do different programs. They're not here today, but check whether you will find, go over weekend, you will find, go at different times. You will find I can give them names, can give you names if you want to try me. But we have them even at management. We've got white people here, all colors of the rainbow we have here. Even our staff complement actually reflects the demographics of the country. So we are looking good. You know, having been a chairperson of the Commission for Employment Equity, I'm quite sensitive to these things. So I'm very sure that I will not disappoint what this government has been fighting for in terms of ensuring that we have a very representative, inclusive organization. So white people are welcome here, Indian people are welcome here, colored people are welcome here, Africans are welcome here. Everybody is welcome in proportion to their demographic.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps panel, shareholders, would you like just in closing to add something to that? To start with you, maybe Sfiso then.
Well, I mean, I think for us, what I think is important, we need to not pay lip service to transformation. We need to, our role here is actually to bring proper, tangible transformation. You can come in here at any moment. You can do research, you can do all sorts of things, you can do studies. But until you actually own something, you don't really, you can't really say there's any transformation. So I think we're more than agents of transformation. We're the actual proof. We are going to be the actual dreams that our grandparents fought for. We are going to be the fruits of that. And the ownership is then going to go further, and it's going to be something tangible.
Mm-hmm. Unati?
I guess for me, AfroTone Media Holdings presents an opportunity for the country to create an asset, media asset for the continent that is Afrocentric indeed, that carries our voice, that carries our narrative. And it's exciting times. And I guess as shareholders, we are more than privileged to be working with the editors to steer this business, to steer this ship, to ensuring that everyone is included, feels included within the business of the media.
Okay. And Chairman, your last word?
I think my last word, I really want to thank the staff of AfroTone Media Holdings. Our staff have been through the worst. They've been abused in the marketplace and all that. They're traumatized and all that. I want to say to staff, we know your pain, as it were. We know your pain. And going forward in recognizing and acknowledging that pain, we are also going to have an employee share ownership scheme. So we're working with the modalities and the details of that. We want to make sure that our staff here is part of the action. So when we declare dividends, those dividends must also affect staff, must also make sure that staff get something. And lastly, the viewers out there, we've got very good, loyal viewership out there, without which we don't have a value proposition. So I want to say to our viewers out there, there's a lot more in store. Just keep glued on DSTV channel 405 and don't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. On that note, thank you very much to our guests of honor, our colleagues in the media space. Unfortunately, we will not be having one-on-ones if you wanted, perhaps, but I'm sure you'll be able to catch our chairman, if nowhere else on social media, tweeting in his personal capacity. That's where we leave it. Thank you very much for joining us.